Hey, I'm Jay, and today we're doing a brake job on this 2019 GLI. We're going to be throwing on our Brembo rotors and our amazing Hawk High Performance 5.0 street pads. These pads are great, and they offer clean, quiet, and quick stopping power with uncompromising performance. Let's get started. We'll need a few different tools for this job. We've obviously got our torque wrench and a few different size ratchets. We've got a 17 for the wheels, a 21, 13, M14 triple square, a 7mm Allen, and a T25 torque bit. We've got a 17mm wrench, a set of pliers, and the mallet is always useful for those stuck-on rotors. And it's important to note you're going to need some caliper piston compression tools, especially for the rear, as the rear piston needs to be spun as it is compressed, and so make sure you've got the proper tool for that. Let's get going. Before you get started, you want to reset your emergency parking brake, and so to do that you can do it with any diagnostic tool. Essentially you just find it in the menu and go through and do what you got to do. So what this does is it retracts the parking brake so you can get the old pads out, new pads in, and get everything ready to go for there. So let's get started. Obviously, first step, pull your wheels. These are on with our 17mm lugs. Next, we're going to crack open our caliper with a 13mm and pull the pads. So when you go to take your caliper off, you'll see this is spinning. This is a 17mm, however, all of our wrenches are too wide to fit in there to hold it, so I'm just going to use some vice grips. Now this can swing up, and we can pull our pads. All right, now we got our pads out. We're gonna leave the caliper all intact and pull the bracket and the caliper off together, just to save a little bit of hassle. Now we're gonna pull the caliper bracket with a 21mm. You want to have a hand on your caliper so it doesn't drop and damage your blinds. We'll just take this and hang it on our caliper hanger. Now we can remove our rotors. Now we will remove our rotor with our T25. These set screws can often be difficult, but that one wasn't. And this should pop off, but can often be stuck. All right, this one's stuck on here, so we'll just give it a good whack and it should pop off. Make sure you have a hand on it so you don't drop it on your floor. There she goes. All right, this has got a lot of anti-seize and stuff on it, so we're just gonna clean it up with some brake cleaner. All right, now we'll install our beautiful Brembo rotor. And you could reuse your set screw, but these came with some new ones, so we're just gonna use the new ones. And with these, just get them hand tight. Now we will collapse our caliper piston and get some new pads in there. That piston's collapsed. Now we will reattach our caliper bracket. And these bolts for the caliper bracket get tightened down to 200 Newton meters. Now we can throw our pads in. All right, now it's a good idea. Put brake grease on your pads and on the caliper so that they last longer and they don't stick. No. These get tightened to 35 Newton meters. So that does it for the front. You just repeat those steps on the other side. We'll give this a quick spray down just to clean off any gunk we got on the rotor. And she's good to go. Let's move to the rear. All right, first thing we gotta do is remove this tensioner spring. A good set of pliers. Now we can loosen our caliper pins. We'll break loose our caliper pins again. These use a 7mm Allen, and it's a bit tight with the brake line. So before you remove your caliper, there's a little speed sensor back here that you're going to want to unclip to be able to pull the caliper out of the way. So we're going to pull this speed sensor, and that will allow us some freedom to move our caliper. All right, sometimes these can get stuck. Just got a little pry bar in there. Pop it up a bit. There we go. That is why you use brake grease. Those pads are pretty worn. That one's almost bare. That's probably the grinding noise I was hearing. You can see there's big grooves in it as well. So glad we're doing this. Now to remove our caliper bracket, we're just going to pull these two bolts with an M14 triple square. Now we will pull off our rotor. All right, so this vehicle has our ECS tuning 2-piece rotors on the rear. We're gonna pull those off with this T27 set screw. Pull our set screw, pull the rotor, we'll clean this up and get the new ones on. Well, that made a big difference. She's clean. Now we'll put on our beautiful Brembo rotor. There we go. And let's get that hand tight. Now to put the caliper back together. So for the rears, again, it's really useful to have a caliper piston tool because the piston itself has to spin as it compresses, and so these little teeth will grab onto that and get her going. Our piston's compressed. We'll get our bracket on, get our caliper on, get our pads in. All right, we'll torque those to 90 Newton meters and 90 degrees. I'll give those a 90-degree turn and they'll be set. Now we'll just insert our pads. It's important to note the one with the spring on it is the rear pad and goes in the back. Now we will install our caliper. I gotta get a tool. And these get tightened down to 35 Newton meters. And last, we'll install our tensioner spring. All right, that does it for the front and rear. Now we'll knock out the other side and this car will be ready to go. That does it on the brake service for this 2019 GLI. Be sure to bed your brakes in, hit that bell notification, like, comment, subscribe, and check back for more enthusiast content.